What it is, what it do, travel the world. It is your girl, the one and only, Ash Brown, and this is the Aesthetic Show. Over 2,200 episodes since 2014. 700,000 plus streams globally. None of this is possible without you guys, so thank you so much for the shares, the cares. It makes a huge difference. Today, we are joined by none other than the wonderful Dr. Tamara Nall as we talk about Junia today. Hey, Dr. Tamara.
How are you, Ash? Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. So, to start things off, just going to it, where did Junia come from?
Right. So I believe that out of pain, there is victory. And so basically, Junia birthed out of my own lived experiences. So I actually lost my mother some years ago, and I also experienced fertility issues. And so there got to a point where my husband at the time and I actually could not create viable embryos with my eggs and his sperm. And so therefore we were forced with the question of, well, do we want to use donor eggs? And we decided to do that. And even though I was okay with it because there's so many different ways that families can be formed, there was still something there about, my goodness, I just focused on my career and my professional life for so long, and no one told me that as a woman ages, her egg quality decreases. And so there was this thought, and then, trying to get our wills and estates, trusts and stuff in order, they always ask the question, who are your children, who are your beneficiaries? And so that was a moment of loneliness for me and depression, etc. But then I, prayed about it and decided that, it's more than DNA.
Right.
But I still wanted something. So we agreed to use, donor eggs, and we still wanted something. And I thought, well, I love my name.
Yeah.
I love my name. I love the story behind why my parents named me that. And so I decided, well, I'll just name my daughter after me. And I talked to him. He thought it was a fabulous idea and was very supportive of it. So then I went on a search for, how is that formally done? And there was no known formal way to when a mother named her daughter after herself. And I could have complained about it. I could have stayed in that hole, but I didn't. I said, okay, I'll create it myself. And so I went through a lot of research and came up with Junia, and that's how Junia was born. It was basically off of my own, experiences dealing with primarily fertility issues, but also the idea that my mother wouldn't be there to, help raise my daughter.
Right. Wow. That is such an incredible journey. Outstanding.
Thank you.
I love that. Now, with this new wave with millennial and Gen Z parents, why do you feel like there's more intention on something like this as far as like naming your child versus like just the old school rules?
Right. You know what? Women rock. We, for years, have always, led, whether it's the community and business and our homes. And so I think that this new generation, and not even a new generation, even my generation, we're leaders, we're founders, we're CEOs, we're managers, military, inventors, and we are increasingly, I think, creating our own traditions. And that reflect our own values rather than simply following customs that developed centuries ago. Many of them are unrelatable, and more women are asking why or why not. And then social media, I think, has empowered people to share meaningful, family rituals and challenge assumptions, because now you have like-minded individuals coming together, or certain folks are challenging kind of the norms, and people are really thinking about it and being self-reflective on it. And so I think we're at a point now where people really want traditions that are descriptive, inclusive, and I think most importantly, intentional.
Yes. Now, going back to the development of Junia and how it came to be, was there any moment that you felt was a big challenge for you and that you didn't even consider it happening?
I think so my conversations with everyone, have been very positive.
Okay.
Mothers are like, most people think, what? I'm like, why hasn't this been done?
Right.
And that's across the board, regardless of race, sex, age. I talk to some mothers and they even say, you know what? When we were coming up with names, my partner or my spouse actually recommended that I name my daughter after me. And I was the one that said, that's not common. I don't know. So, I'm telling people, why not?
Yes.
Why would we? But I think that the biggest, so it wasn't acceptance or anything like that as a challenge. The biggest challenge is trying to find a path to get it approved, primarily in the United States, in terms of like Social Security, vital statistics, and those databases where there's a drop down. Now, if there is not a drop down, people can just similarly put comma JUNIA or comma the abbreviation for Junia, which is JN, so they can do that. But it's where we have these databases where you have to drop down or fill applications. And so that actually, I've spoken with several lobbyists, and they said, you know what, this really can cross both aisles. Like, how can you not say this isn't a good idea? But it will take a lot of conversations to get it approved.
Yeah.
At the state and federal level.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, I didn't even consider that, but yeah, vital records. I have a past in the court system, so I'm thinking, I'm like, oh yeah, vital records. That may be a little sticky at times, but you managed it. You made it work. Now, have you had a moment with a client that really touched you, that just sticks out to you as a memory of you helping someone's life?
Well, I think that the biggest, so I actually have a colleague of mine, recently introduced, and she is not in a relationship, nowhere close to it, getting older, living with her mom who is getting older, and she recently started the process of kind of like looking through her genealogy, etc. And so she was thinking about her past, and then she actually heard about Junia and thought about her future in a way that she never thought that she would. And so now she's like, wait a minute. I mean, I don't have to just think about the past, and that's very, very important, but what kind of legacy am I going to leave? And so she's now thinking about the process of starting her own journey, and she wants a Junia. And there are many examples. There's someone else who is, a wiser young woman who is an entrepreneur, very successful, and she literally, we were having a conversation, she said, I have no one to leave all of this to. And, she had a health scare recently, and I think that made her start to think of things. And so, she was, and in the conversation, she was like, oh, I love my name. And then I always said, how about a Junia? And she was like, I know about Junia, but you're right, why not? And so it's those type of experiences where I'm like, you know what, this is amazing, where because of Junia, you start to think about possibilities that you've never, considered before.
Yes. What do you see as the future of Junia?
You know what? To me, it's really simple. I don't want every daughter to be a Junia, because not every son is a Junior.
Right.
What I want, and my hope and my vision, is that when a parent or parents or guardians or whomever think about naming their daughter, they consider being a Junia as an option, just like they would a Junior. Will every daughter be named after their mother? No, absolutely not. But I just want it to be an option to be considered. And I want it to become just as normal as when they begin to think about naming their sons juniors, and to carry it with pride.
Yeah.
I personally have never met a junior that didn't have some sense of pride of being named after, his father. And I just want the same for daughters. So in my mind, it's really simple. Just consider it as an option as you begin to come up with names.
Yes, I love that. Now, for people that want to get some more information, where do they need to go?
So please go to our website. It's junialegacy.com. That's JUNIA, legacy, LEGACY.com. And there we have all type of resources, the history of Junia. My lived experiences are there too. If you want to volunteer, please sign up. Donations are always appreciated because, like I said, we have to go down this lobbying route. Yeah. You can get examples of different ceremonies. You can get a free certificate. And with the ceremonies, I will actually go and officiate a ceremony if you want to, and all those options, and all of that goes to trying to help with getting Junia official with vital statistics, etc. And then also, go to your local congresswoman or congressman or whomever and encourage them to support Junia. And even if I can host people here in the D.C. area, and we can go up on the Hill and talk to your local congressperson because you represent that local community. I represent Junia, and together we can just make this movement as national and as commonplace as Junia.
Very well put. I love that. Dr. Tamara, thank you so much for coming through. We so appreciate you.
Sure.
Sprinkling these gems.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm hoping that someone listening somewhere in all the different countries that we are is looking at it and considering a Junia. I love that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much for your love, for the support, for the shares, the cares. It makes a huge difference. Keep in mind, anyone to tell you that you can't do what you want to do, you look them square in the face, you tell them, don't believe me, just watch. Watch what I do. Watch me make it happen. Watch me make history. That's what we're doing this for, the history books. Social media is nice, but real life is so much better. Until next time, you guys.